Discovery, go at throttle up. Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hello. It's Tuesday, ain't it?
What's going on, everybody? How are you doing? I got a good night's sleep, so I'm good to go. I'm good to go. How's everybody doing in here? Today is Friday? No, it's not Friday. Tired. Waffles.
Ready to see the first flight of Tail 5. Yep. Hey, KSP today. Nah, I don't feel like it. It's Tuesday, isn't it? Tuesday. How's everybody doing? We should be coming up here with launch... with the waffles. Waffles. Alright. Okay. Give me 1 second. Speaking of Kerbal, I gotta get some stuff figured out here. Okay. Alright, so yeah. Should be good for Force Science around 1 o'clock, but we have the NS-24 launch happening very soon. Wofford. They're real comfortable shoes. The Fun Rocket is back. Animal wants ad time? Fine, you get ad time right now. We're still on the main page. First lift with the version 2 transport stand. Oh gosh, it played an ad. I hit ad time in the YouTube video, played an ad. T-minus on KSP update. An hour, 45 minutes. It should be like 6 or 7 o'clock for you, Vasi, I think. So what's an hour? What's an hour and 45 from now? Oh, Blorgen is live. Blorgen. Let's do this. 6, you're right? Yeah, there we go. All right, cool. Cool. Let's roll. Yeah, we also have a Booster 10 lift-ish soon. Well, after NS-24, I was going to do some space news, because we haven't done that in a little while. Why didn't anybody tell me my butt was so big? Chlorophyll, more like Blorgenfill, right? It's been a hot second since one of these. Well, they, so, yeah, Meeps, it's been a little bit because they had a little bit of a mishap. I don't know if you saw it. They had a mishap basically because they sent that tail number 4, they sent it a little too hard. They let out too much of the freedom. You know what I mean? They let out too much of the freedom. No, they had problems with nozzle burn through because they were testing a new configuration on the BE3. At least that's what they said. So 23 was tail 3. There. Okay, cool. Yeah, tail 3. Thank you. Yeah. They let a little bit too much freedom out. But because it's a commercial transport vehicle, it was subject to an FAA mishap investigation, just like Starship is or anything else. Anything else that goes wrong that's under the FAA's jurisdiction, have a mishap investigation, and you know today is gonna validate the mishap investigation amendments changes to the vehicle. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they were testing a new configuration on the BE3U on an uncrewed flight, and yeah, sometimes you send it a little bit too hard. But hey, that's how you learn. That's how you learn. And no one's on board. You try to test the new configuration, whatever. There were some paying customers payloads on that too, but which is a little bit of an oopsie, but hey, it happens. Let's roll. So we got a brand new tail, right? The BE3 didn't BE3 correctly. Yep. Only a few payloads were wrecked. Yeah, hey, man. You. You ought to know. Oh, wait, I don't want to get DMCA'd.
The human need to explore is deep within all of us. Our ancestors crossed mountain ranges, sailed open oceans to map new lands.
I'm gonna go over here.
Sought out the unknown while always looking to the stars. We're curious, and now we're at a place where we can pioneer new horizons.
Who's the joke, drummer?
Because Earth, this blue planet, and all its beauty, is just our starting place.
It's time.
5, 4,
Discovery, go and throttle up.
and start.
Are we gonna get VOD muted for this? I'm pretty sure that's Bono singing. Bono? You want them to get Bono? Send it. So, Meeps, I have to ask, on a scale from 1 to holy frick, how awesome was that? Yeah. On a scale from 1 to... Oh!
Lay the way for
Oh,
generations
boy.
to come.
What are they flying out of? This is Van Horn, Texas. Moto, 25 months. Am I late? Nope.
Perhaps from a rocky moon or colonies floating in open space. They'll remember this time.
Yeah, I'll be good to...
Reflect on where it started, they'll remember this place.
Yes. Oh,
And when they honor those first explorers who said, "Let's go,"
Gary,
they'll remember
Mikey,
these bold steps.
Jeff
We are
Bezos.
Blue Origin. And this is just the beginning.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to New Shepard's 24th mission. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Erica Wagner, joined today by Eddie Safert. Hey, Eddie.
Howdy, Erica. I'm thrilled to join you today.
It is great to be
AirPods.
back on the desk this morning to follow the action down in West Texas, where our launch team is preparing New Shepard for flight.
We've got an exciting day in store. Here's the mission patch. Another great rendition of the New Shepard vehicle, mock diamonds in the plume and all. This mission is dedicated to our payloads. 33 research payloads on board today, along with 38,000 postcards flying on behalf of Blue Origin's STEAM nonprofit, the science, technology,
for the
engineering,
future.
art, and math-focused group called Club for the Future. No humans on board today.
The majority of today's manifest is comprised of payloads from schools, laboratories, and STEAM organizations. Most have been developed in collaboration with NASA, many testing important technologies for our future of living and working in space for the benefit of Earth. Thank you to NASA for funding such important work and for your unwavering commitment to advancing what's possible in space. We are all benefiting.
Erica, including today's manifest, more than 150 commercial payloads from more than 7
That's right,
different
Super.
countries have flown to space and back safely on New Shepard.
Absolutely, Eddie. I mean, New Shepard is really an ideal platform for research. Payloads can fly inside the crew capsule, mounted to the booster for exposure to the space environment. They experience several minutes of microgravity and altitudes up above the Kármán line. And then they get to gently return to Earth, getting back to the researchers on the same day that they launched.
That's right, Erica. Certainly, I think that's key. Quick access to the data, to their payloads on the same day of launch allows researchers to collect that data, tune their system, make changes, and mitigate risk for more expensive and much longer exploration missions down the road.
We have
Yes, it is,
many
Jen.
interesting experiments on board today, including one from Infinity Fuel Cell, and this one's called the AMPS experiment. AMPS will demonstrate the operation of hydrogen fuel cell technology in microgravity.
This company is collaborating with NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston
We
to
want
develop
this.
a flexible power product.
You-
They're
you
utilizing
want
new
that.
manufacturing methods to reduce cost and improve reliability of fuel cells. Now, reliable power on the lunar surface is key to that future sustainable development. Lunar rovers and surface
Discovery,
equipment
go and throttle
habitats will all need access to reliable power.
Yeah, absolutely. And Eddie, I'm so excited to get back to the moon. In fact, today in 1972, Apollo 17 returned to the moon, the last time humans were setting foot on our nearest neighbor.
Yeah, well, we're excited to get back, as you mentioned, this time to stay.
Absolutely. Another interesting payload on board today is called FORGE, the Fluidic Operations in Reduced Gravity Experiment. FORGE was developed by NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory and will demonstrate how water and gas move together in microgravity. Future applications of this technology are important for things like monitoring water quality for astronauts in space, searching for signs of life beyond Earth. It really is a fantastic time to be focused on fluid physics using the tools of microgravity.
And a lot of experiments today focused on fluid physics. In fact, it's what inspired the water droplet shape of the NS-24 mission patch we're excited about. And we'll highlight a few of those payloads in just a bit. In the meantime, we'd like to talk about safety, which is and always will be our highest value. New Shepard was built as a human-capable vehicle from the beginning. We've spent as much time developing the safety elements of New Shepard as we did all of the other elements combined.
The New Shepard program has completed 6 astronaut missions, safely flying 31 people above the Kármán line, the internationally recognized boundary of space, including 7 women. Soon, we hope to extend that laboratory of space by helping researchers fly with their own payloads on board New Shepard. Now, I don't know about you, Eddie, but I would go in a heartbeat.
Oh, count me in. Absolutely. A chance to combine experience space and conduct meaningful research is a wonderful opportunity. And if you're interested in any of these opportunities to purchase your ride to space on New Shepard, with or without research, go to blueorigin.com and click on the button Fly to Space.
Today's flight has a number of payloads on board from schools, introducing students as young as elementary school to STEAM skills like coding and testing, CAD design, skills that are often not taught until college but are absolutely critical for today's workforce.
Here's one of those, Spring into Space. It was developed by elementary school students at PS 185 in Brooklyn, New York. The experiment will test how changes in acceleration impact the length of a weight-loaded spring. This initiative is led by Dr. Todd Smith at the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Lab, and the overall goal here is to establish a mini space program to inspire young students' excitement in STEAM fields. In Dr. Smith's words, this project has really energized the entire elementary school.
Yeah, Brooklyn's here. Welcome to the Bears. Glad to have you, PS 185. Inspiring the next generation is really an important step to achieving our vision of millions of people someday living and working in space for the benefit of Earth. It's also why we founded our STEAM-focused nonprofit, Club for the Future, whose mission is to inspire and mobilize future generations around the world to pursue careers in STEAM fields.
And one way Club does this is by taking student-created postcards to space and back. Today's mission is carrying 38,000 such postcards, giving students tangible access to space on Blue Origin's rockets. Each postcard is returned to its creator stamped, flown in space. Now, I don't know about you, Erica. It wasn't until I joined Blue that I had the opportunity to make something that goes to space, and now students all over the world have that opportunity.
That's absolutely fantastic, really bringing that to life, helping students to see themselves in the future of space. As the program grows, we are finding new ways to engage, and case in point, we're now offering digital postcards to send to space from any device. You can start by visiting the app online where you can draw or create your message
Discovery,
and hit
no
submit.
throttle up.
We'll send it to space on a dedicated hard drive flown on New Shepard. And once it's safely back on Earth, you'll receive an email with instructions to access your flown to space digital postcard.
Excellent, and tons of curriculum online as well. All right, if you're just joining us, we're at T-minus 12 minutes until New Shepard flies its 24th mission to space and back. Let's talk about our mission. I know it's what gets me excited to come to work every day. Here at Blue Origin, we are building a future
Discovery,
where millions
go
of
and throttle
humans
up.
will someday live and work in space. This will enable the migration of heavy industry off our planet to ultimately restore Earth, our Blue Origin. To enable this mission, one of the first steps is radically
that's the
reducing the
name.
cost of access to space
get it.
through reusable vehicles. New Shepard, for example, is currently designed for 25 missions, and we're striving to quadruple that over time. This will allow us to learn how to reuse rockets and apply those lessons learned to New Glenn, for example.
That's right, Eddie. Another gate that's super important is
Right,
learning
you are,
to
Ken.
harness the vast resources of space to create a dynamic future and help preserve the Earth. This is how Blue Origin's Space Resources team is working to make long-term human presence on the moon viable.
The thing that we're doing in the Space Resources Program is really learning how to live off the land in space without bringing everything from the Earth.
All right, so this is the NS-24 mission. This is a New Shepard rocket. It's a single-stage, well, technically single-stage 2 vehicle, right? So you have the first stage, which takes you up into space, and then it separates a capsule, and that's it. This is just designed to go up and down. Now, I know in this day and age where, you know, we're launching, pretty much everyone's launching on the daily into space, an up and down rocket might not seem like that big of a deal, but dude, you know what? This is actually a really, 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 really super useful suborbital technology demonstrator. Long story short, New Shepard is basically a prototype of an upper stage for a bigger rocket that Blue Origin is working on, called New Glenn. I mean, now, technical people, don't roast me. I know that New Glenn's upper stage is not the same as New Shepard, but it basically is serving as a test bed for it, which is cool. New Shepard's first stage also comes down and lands vertically. It's pretty dang cool. Pretty cool piece of equipment. It is reusable. And this mission is fairly high profile because they sent it a little bit too hard on the last mission. Let too much of the freedom out. Some of the freedom came out the side, and you ideally want the freedom to come out of the bottom of the vehicle. Some of it came out of the side. No, technical explanation, they had nozzle burn through, which happens when you basically don't get the right oxidizer to fuel ratio inside of the combustion chamber. when you don't get an ideal oxidizer to fuel ratio, you know, it can do a bunch of things to the rocket engine. That's like saying you didn't get enough gas in the car. Right? That could be a bunch of different things that could be the problem. But they ended up having nozzle burn through because they didn't deliver enough fuel. The engine leaned out, basically. If you speak car, it leaned out. And when a rocket motor leans out, it blows up, just like a car engine. Weird, huh? So there was an FAA mishap investigation, but, oh, we're in a hold. There is a hold here for 1 minute hold. They held at the 10-minute mark. But this is a return to flight mission, which is why we're covering it. There are no people on board. There's just science experiments. This top part is the capsule right here. It will separate. And the first stage will, you know, it'll separate and then it'll come back down and land, which is actually super cool. Okay, this part's for the nerds. So the really interesting thing about New Shepard is that it's a Hydrolox rocket. Hydrolox. Rapidly reusable Hydrolox rockets are kind of few and far between here. Now, I don't think New Shepard has made it to the point where you could call it rapidly reusable, but it is a reusable Hydrolox rocket, and that is pretty freaking cool. If I do say so myself, a throttleable Hydrolox rocket that lands. So what do I mean by Hydrolox for the non-technical people? The Hydrolox is, they're using hydrogen as fuel, liquid hydrogen as fuel, and liquid oxygen as oxidizer. Why haven't there been reusable hydrogen rockets? Hydrogen is really, really, really difficult to manage. Now, here's the thing. It'll get you the best fuel economy. You get better miles per gallon with hydrogen than you do with anything else, but hydrogen's really, really hard to manage. The reason why is because hydrogen, if we had an electron microscope, we're looking at a piece of hydrogen and we're looking at a piece of like aluminum, for instance, the hydrogen is very, 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 very tiny. So on top of that, hydrogen only exists as a liquid in like a very, very small gap. So like take water, for instance, 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen, right? That exists as a liquid from 0 centigrade to 100 centigrade. That's where it exists as a liquid. That's a fairly wide window, right? Hydrogen, the window is maybe like 1 or 2 degrees C. Maybe. Like not a lot. So on top of hydrogen being hard to keep as a liquid, right? It exists as a liquid near absolute zero. So we're talking like minus 300 C. Actually, minus 273.15 if you really want to know. Actually, not that much. It's actually a little bit more than that. But so hydrogen, it'll give you the best fuel economy, but it's difficult to use, which is what makes that rocket so dang impressive. It's a reusable hydrogen rocket.
We're going its final set of checks, and we have some very excited students, scientists, and researchers
So
across the globe.
I'm here for it. I don't care if it just goes up and down. I want to see some freedom come out of the bottom of this thing. Let's roll.
Camera system developed by students and faculty at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University.
It's very tough to keep it in the tank, Don. Yeah, hydrogen is very, very small. If you let hydrogen turn to a gas, right, it'll go through the aluminum. It'll go through it. It'll just go through it like a sponge. Yeah, you got to be very careful with this stuff.
Sensors and determine any camera distortion.
Also on the pad today, Teachers in Space. Now that's the name of a payload, not actual teachers, although we do hope to fly more teachers to space someday. This experiment is collecting data in microgravity and was designed in classrooms in Maine, New Mexico,
Okay, we're out of the hold
Kansas.
here. I'm going to run ads, guys, so nobody gets ads during the launch. I don't like running ads. Chat makes me do it. No, Gangsta Chat made me do it. No, I don't like running ads, but generally I try to run them before a rocket launches, so nobody, if somebody's late for a launch or somebody sees the thumbnail of the rocket launching, they click on it, they see the rocket launch. So, RTM, thank you for that Prime sub. I'm going to run some ads here, and click. And we'll go from there. Yeah, Vasi, I'm with you on that one. Did you catch Bezos on Lex? They talk for hours about Blue Origin. I heard a little bit of it, Homing Pigeon. Yeah, that makes me happy. I don't... To be 100% honest with you, I've never minded Jeff Bezos. I think he's a very, very smart dude. And honestly, I don't think if you have anything good, if you don't have anything good to say about someone, shut the fuck up. But a little more candid EJ there for a second. NG Stage 2 is Hydrolox as well. That's right, Vasia. Yep. I'm just scrolling up in chat. Because I'm a chat. Wait, no. 300 would give you a Nobel Prize. Yeah, right? Yeah.
People living and working in space will mean people of all backgrounds.
I don't have
people
anything
of
good to
all
say about you,
ages.
yet here I
So-
am. Actions speak louder than words. Boom! You weren't ready for that one.
Along the way,
Kill him with kindness,
With
baby.
that, let's review the New Shepard flight profile for today.
7, 6,
New Shepard's mission begins when the countdown clock reaches 0.
2, 1.
You gonna f on me?
At this point, the
No
engine
way.
will start and the rocket will lift off of the pad.
Straight hand.
It will continue under the boost phase for about 2.5 minutes until main engine cutoff. 20 seconds later, the crew capsule will separate from the booster.
Capsules are reused,
and the
hypersonic.
astronauts
Yep.
will unharness and enjoy 0G. The crew capsule will continue past
We're
the
doing it,
countdown
Harry!
to an ultimate apogee of 350,000 feet, or 100 kilometers.
Yeah, pretty much, drummer. Yep.
The booster will autonomously land on the landing pad, ready to be prepped for its next flight. Around 3.5 minutes after separation, the
Where's
crew
my boy
capsule will
Meeps?
begin to re-enter Earth's atmosphere. Parachutes
Where's the
will
stock
deploy
footage of
from
Meeps,
an
man?
altitude of 7,000 feet or 2,100 meters, providing a nice, slow descent back to Earth.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Very
After
nice.
landing,
Third.
astronauts exit the capsule and are greeted by the Blue Origin
Hey,
ground
Ish.
crew, family, and friends to celebrate and reflect on their flight. New Shepard, an adventure unlike anything on Earth.
How much dollars to fly on that thing? It's a little expensive. It's contractual, Eric, so it kind of varies. I've heard anywhere in the range from like 500 grand to somewhere above $1 million. It's interesting because space flight services are a la carte, and this is not just Blue Origin. This is everybody. It really depends on what you want to do. Everything is contractual, so everything is negotiable. So it's really you're really not going to get like, oh, I'll take one space flight, please, for $1. I'd buy that for $1. You're not going to get stuff like that. It varies. It depends on how much services you want. What are you trying to do? If you're paying for a science payload, does your payload need power? Straight up. It's not stuff you think about. Does it need power, or does it have some AA batteries attached to it? Right? So services are kind of a la carte. You know, are you launching a person into space? Are you launching a robot into space? Are you launching a satellite? It's a la carte. It depends on what you're doing. So the price does vary. I've heard anywhere north of like 500 to $1 million, somewhere in there. But I will say that's one of the cheapest ways that you can see the curvature of the Earth. You know, it seems like 500 to $1 million is really, really freaking expensive, right? Is there anything else that's going to fly you to 350,000 feet? Flight level 3,500? Yeah, FL 3,500. You know, Boston Center, we're with you. Like, nope, not really. Nick, the Earth's flat. What you mean? Your eye isn't flat, bro. What are you, dumb? We're in another hold here. Does Blue Origin have orbital capability yet? Are they still suborbital? It's suborbital still right now? SW. It's suborbital right now, but New Glenn, their new rocket that they're rolling out with, is a chonker of a vehicle. It is basically Saturn V light. Yeah. Yeah, payload capability somewhere in between Saturn 1B and Saturn V. It is a monster of a vehicle. Here, let me see if I can get you, while we're in this planned hold, let's see if I can get you a picture of it. Cool, thanks. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, Nick, you weren't ready for that, man. You weren't ready for that. You don't challenge my hype. You don't challenge my hype when a rocket launch happens,
Eric,
son.
I'm noticing that
What?
the hold has cleared. That countdown
Oh.
timer resuming its march to T0. What an exciting day for us today. Now, I'm told this is the 9th mission for this booster. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the most important things that's been happening in this new era of modern rocketry is that we've learned how to launch, land, and repeat. We've been able to take these boosters and to fly them over and over again. Now, traditional rockets, you'd fly them once and you'd throw them away, and that was both wasteful and not sustainable. It also turns out that it costs a whole lot more money when you're flying a rocket only once. Imagine flying an airplane and then having to throw it away. We just wouldn't travel.
Yeah, that's not cool. Anyway, here's a picture of the first stage tank testing article here. Keep in mind there would be an engine section over here, guys. This is from my buddy Max over at NASA Spaceflight. He took this doing one of NASA Spaceflight's flybys. They do flyby videos of the Cape where they take pictures of spaceflight hardware, so if you're a spaceflight nutcase and kind of weird, like me, you can see what's rolling out of the Cape, out of Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral nowadays. So, let me just tell you, you see it, you don't really, like, okay, that's pretty big. Then you notice the dude standing there taking pictures of it, and you're like, oh, that's not small. That's not small at all. That is a very large vehicle, and that's not even the inner stage for it. This is just the first stage. The second stage is about half the size of this thing. And the payload fairing is about a third of the size of this thing. It's almost as big as the Saturn V, dudes. It is a monster of a vehicle. And this thing is a test article for it. Yeah, Raw, this is a return to flight. What is the purpose of this specific launch? It has NASA experiments on board for fuel cell electrical power generation in microgravity environments, and there's a couple of optics packages, amongst other things, from what I can tell. I was giving a technical explanation when they were explaining the payloads. Sorry. There's some experiments from NASA, there's experiments from JPL, there's some Club for the Future stuff, which is Blue Origin's nonprofit on board. This is basically an uncrewed launch.
In our countdown, we're going to be watching for the bit checks. These are built-in tests to help us make sure that all of our systems are ready to go for flight.
We've got great visuals here of New Shepard on the pad. We'll get great audio as well through those built-in tests. And as we see them, we'll call them out.
Yeah, Eddie, the first thing we're going to be looking for is the aft fin checks. So if you look down there at the base of the booster, you can see those fins, those control surfaces that rotate to help direct the vehicle on ascent and descent.
A little bit like sticking your hand out the window while your car is driving. The air pushes against the aerodynamic surface, helping to control the vehicle.
There we go. We see the gantry pulling back. Now the booster is getting ready. We are used to seeing the gantry out there so we can do load-in of our astronauts, our payload.
This launch site is in Van Horn, Texas. It's in West Texas. And anybody from West Texas knows that, you can launch from here. There's not much out there. It's just sand. I hate sand. It's coarse, rough, and it gets everywhere.
Great built-in test.
Looks like someone is in there. Okay. Okay, here we go. T-minus 60 seconds.
After those aft fins, we're going to be looking for the engine nozzle gimbaling. The engine gimbals or rotates to help maneuver the rocket
continue.
as
I don't know
it
what you're
flies,
talking
providing
about.
a thrust vector control. Meanwhile, we're keeping an eye on the pressure and temperature in the propellant tanks. Both of those sets of variables need to stay in the start box or the green zone for us to be ready to launch.
Okay.
Okay, we are at T-minus 30 seconds.
I said that already.
Let's launch this rocket.
All right, so in the run-up point to T-minus 0, we should see an ignition happen on the BE-3 engine down at the bottom. Okay, they're on internal power. Rocket's cut off from the grid, operating on its own batteries. 10 seconds.
8, 7, 6,
5,
4. Command engine start. 2, 1, 0. Ignition.
Rocket let go
We have
now.
ignition of our BE-3 engine.
Okay, got a good release.
And liftoff.
Fly, baby,
Mission
fly.
Control confirms that New Shepard has cleared the tower and is headed to space. You can see on the lower left side of your screen that we're gaining speed. As New Shepard gains altitude, the atmosphere gets thinner. The graph on the left shows vehicle ascent. Now, we actually started at about 3,700 feet MSL. That's how far above mean sea level we are at Launch Site 1.
There's science experiments on board.
How exciting, Erica. A great shot there
Yeah, Flo,
of
it's Finn.
the PM, the propulsion module moving
for
away
extra
from Earth.
aerodynamics.
That BE-3 engine providing 100% power level. And here shortly we will approach max Q. This again is the point where aerodynamic stress on the vehicle is at its maximum, so the BE-3 engine will throttle back for a little bit as we pierce through the atmosphere.
Freedom units. Nice. Don't worry, I'll convert it to metric. (900 kph).
Now that we've passed max Q,
Everything's looking
BE-3
good.
will begin to throttle back up to 100% power
We're at 1,000 kilometers
we'll
an hour.
See that velocity ticker on the left of your screen start to increase more rapidly as the air gets thinner. New Shepard is moving faster and faster.
Absolutely. You can also see that engine plume start to expand as we get into that thinner, high upper atmosphere.
20 kilometers.
Such a cool shot there.
So just over 2 minutes of boost for the BE-3 engine before we reach the next stage of our mission, MECO, main engine cutoff. That will be the
we're at
next
33
milestone
kilometers up. Fly, baby, fly. Everything looks real good here. I mean, it's hard to tell from the picture, but I'm watching these numbers right here. Those appear to be real telemetry.
To climb
Everything looks okay.
145,000 feet.
Oh.
There it is. Main engine cutoff just over 2,200 miles per hour and soon vehicle separation.
That's
always love seeing us coast through MECO.
3,200 kph.
Now, when the vehicles separate and the crew capsule from the booster, we're going to be entering that phase of microgravity.
Deceleration
you can see that 0G indicator at the bottom of your screen. This is really where most of our payloads are getting into the core of their science mission. Oh, what a fantastic view.
All sorts of cool experiments here enabled in microgravity, in free fall. Items don't sink or float. Hot air doesn't rise. Plants and cells respond to this novel stimulus with different patterns of gene expression, which gives us new insights for agricultural technologies and medicine.
I hope that was
we
ice.
talked earlier about the importance of fluid physics, because fluid flow on the ground dominated by gravity, the liquid at the bottom of your cup, but in space it's dominated by surface tension, which leads to all sorts of cool effects with capillary action. And these effects are relevant for everything from drinking coffee to refueling satellites to the microfluidics in your medical diagnostics.
Ah, yes,
Incredible.
my
I'm
microfluidics.
sure the payloads are enjoying all of the clean, very clean microgravity data.
It's bad if I understood
that
what she
they're
said, but
collecting
the
at this time.
microfluidics.
And loving that view back down on the clouds over West Texas.
We're over 100 kilometers
If you
up.
watch that ticker on the lower left corner, you see we are slowly counting down in our velocity to 0. That's the vertical velocity of the system. And when we reach 0, that's when we've reached apogee.
V, something that I never try to do. I never try to sound smart on here, ever. It's a rule. It's a rule of mine. Sometimes you need to sound smart to explain what you're talking about, but I always like to talk like I'm talking to a normal person.
Apogee for the capsule
You know
at
what I mean?
351,247 feet, well into space and over the Kármán line. Fantastic mission for our payloads on board today.
What's going on?
And Erica, so now we've got both vehicles racing back down to Earth under the effect of gravity. The gumdrop shape here of the
Vulcan,
crew
we ever see
capsule
anything like
will
that
mean
before?
a slower return for the crew capsule, but there on the left, a great view of the propulsion module returning back to the West Texas desert.
It could just be ice coming off the vehicle. You do get ice buildup, and when the vehicle separates, it cracks all that ice off. That happens on a lot of rockets.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Never had a forward-facing camera on the booster before. Is that forward-facing on the camera? Or on the booster or the capsule?
So as we come back down
Discovery,
and the
lower
atmosphere
throttle up.
begins to get thicker again, we
Hey, Big B,
start to
squished
have
in.
the ability to use our aerodynamic control surfaces. What you'll be seeing next is the air brakes deploying. This is a critical step in slowing the
Yeah, it's
vehicle
kinda hard to
down,
tell.
increasing the surface
Actually,
area, just like
that
a
camera's
badminton
right there.
shuttlecock or something that's helping you to come down through the upper atmosphere. We're going to see that the velocity starts to decrease with those air brakes out.
In fact, the drag brake should cut
think
the
that-
velocity
is that camera
in
right there?
about half.
I think that camera's
so we'll
looking
be
up
looking
at that.
for that, picking up hopefully with
Yeah,
the cameras,
that's
the
that- I
long-range
think it's right
cameras,
there.
and seeing those drag brakes deploy as the propulsion module cuts through the atmosphere.
This is the best part, dude. Watch this little guy come back down. It's really cool. So they...
And those are the forward fins deploying there on the right. A great
deploy
view
fins.
looking up from the propulsion module into space and seeing those forward fins deploying.
Oh, what's that? See, I don't know if that's
See the
normal because
capsule
yeah, we've never
passing
had
by
this view
just
before.
there on the right-hand screen, well above the booster at this altitude.
What a great video shot. I love seeing this.
That's the
Those are our
capsule?
experiments, our customers today getting their microgravity data in.
So that booster coming in at about Mach 3, pulling at about 5 Gs as it re-enters the atmosphere. So we're going to be seeing that velocity
That's excellent,
decrease
dude.
rapidly.
All
at
right,
this
watch the air. The air's gonna try to rip
This
this
is one of
thing
my
apart.
favorite parts of observing a mission from West Texas.
Oh,
Those are the drag brakes. There they are deployed.
Oh, okay.
And we see those aft fins steering the booster over the landing pad.
All right, here we go.
If you're
Should see
in
an
West
in-
Texas,
should
you
see an
may be
ignition.
hearing a sonic boom coming up here as we break through the sound barrier.
1 kilometer off the deck.
BE3
Discovery, no
engine
throttle up.
relight, just 2,000 feet to go before the landing pad.
Man, is that
Landing
impressive.
gear deploying.
Look at how
Love
stable
that
that thing
shot.
is. Dude.
I can't tell you how many people have told us they thought that this looks like CGI, but indeed one of these most beautiful shots in the West Texas desert. And we have booster touchdown.
You should see the purge-
Congratulations,
purge
New
out.
Shepard propulsion module and the
Perfect.
BE3 engine for providing just the right feathered thrust to come in for the nice hovering land.
On one engine.
And again, that's the
That's
ninth flight
impressive,
for this
dude.
booster, really showing the
That's
operational
that's imp-
reusability of the
that's
system.
impressive.
And how many times we can get back to space.
Well, Erica, we've just safely landed the booster. Now we're about to watch the crew capsule make its final descent back to
That's
the West
impressive.
Texas desert. In parallel, the team will vent the propellants, any remaining propellants, from the propulsion module and begin safe recovery operations so
diameter?
that we can prepare it for its next mission.
It's small. It's small, Adam. I think it's 3 meters. That's a guess, though. That's probably wrong. It's New Shepard is not.
No, these shots are incredible.
big?
We've got the
It's
Sierra
bigger than you
Diablo
think,
Mountains
though.
in the background, some yuccas and some choyas, and of course a world-class
Why'd they gotta put this
propulsion
thing right
module
where my head
booster
is?
on a landing pad. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's a pleasantly toasty marshmallow having come right back from space. I absolutely love being out in
It's
the desert
3.7?
and just standing there.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Vulcan. 9 feet for Americans. Yep. It's not very big, but man, that thing packs a punch for what it is, dude. It's really, I'm telling you, I know it doesn't look like much, and I know that with the capsule it looks like a mushroom. But it's super impressive piece of tech. You know what I mean?
Bottom of the capsule that makes that landing even smoother. So as we're coming down, nice slow velocity, right around 1,600 feet. We're going to be looking for that retro thrust system as we get closer to the desert floor.
Okay.
And Erica, this retro thrust system is effectively high-pressure gas.
400
that
meters.
is fired off to make a cushion of air, soft landing for the crew capsule, but it kicks up some dust.
3 good shoots right there. 300 meters.
such gorgeous scenery, such a gorgeous crew capsule, and again, those parachutes doing their job, taking us down to just about 15 miles per hour.
200.
The retro thrust system will take us down to just 1 or 2 miles an hour as we get down to the base of the desert floor.
Okay, 100 meters off the deck. 50, 40, 30. Yeah,
There it is.
that altimeter
Touchdown
was off.
For NS-24
That-
and our 33
that altimeter
customers
was a
and
little bit off.
58,000 postcards.
That was
What
that was a little off there, but good touchdown. Excellent work.
On board today, especially to all the students who designed and built experiments. Want to shout out to our
SpaceX
friends
can
out
do
at
it, Liquid,
MIT,
but
the University of Central Florida.
that's about it. Just
PS185
SpaceX and
in
Blue,
Brooklyn,
the only people that reuse these things.
AIAA, ASGSR, our sponsors at NASA.
But you know,
So-
okay, I know what type of debate this is going to spark. SpaceX and Blue Origin reuse their boosters. Blue Origin reuses their capsule. SpaceX reuses their Dragon capsule. But it's important to note, SpaceX's stuff goes into orbit, not space. Okay? Just because you jump up and down doesn't mean you're flying, right? Just for that like momentary second, you're just jumping, right? You know, say Apple. Just say Apple. No, what you're doing is jumping. No, what you no, no. Just say Apple. A-double-P-L-E. No. But see, you got to remember, getting to orbit is a little bit more difficult than just going up and coming back down, right? However, if we're looking at this on a scale of difficulty, right? The difficulty scale, if like 2 + 2 = chair, is right here, we're talking about 1,300 feet, or about 400 meters that way in terms of difficulty scale. And up there, 400 meters straight up from our difficulty scale here, right? Suborbital rockets, orbital rockets is a little bit above that. Like, keep it in perspective. Just because this thing goes up and down doesn't mean it wasn't easy. It was like, that's easy to make. No. No. This is all difficult. It is rocket science. It is difficult to do. So don't sit here for a second and just think because this thing goes up and down that it's not, it's no big deal. No. It's still impressive to reuse something that goes up to 350,000 feet and comes back down. Not a lot of things go up that high and come back down in one piece and can be reused. Space shuttle, maybe. The space shuttle, the Dragon capsule. Maybe the solid rocket boosters from the shuttle, and maybe? There's not many things that go up there and come back down in one piece. But that thing does. And dude, look at that. You could balance a bottle of water on this thing. Look at how stable that is. One engine. That's impressive. That's really impressive. It was delayed, Salyut. It looks like the telemetry was a little delayed. They called touchdown at 45 feet, which is 15 meters off the deck.
Going to space and gazing back on Earth through some of the largest windows.
It's impressive
that have
stuff,
ever
dude.
Flown in space.
Yep.
We certainly have.
Yeah.
10.
Thanks, Adam. Yeah.
A
Vulcan
once-in-a-lifetime
said it
journey
too.
is closer.
3.7.
than
It's
you
a little
think.
bit bigger than 3.
It's your time to join the new generation of astronauts. To book your flight, visit blueorigin.com and click Fly to Space. Tell us as much as you can about yourself. We welcome you to the final frontier.
Tessa, the Brits were sending rockets up and down in the 60s and for longer. Oh yeah, what happened to that? Please refresh my memory. Hey, how's that Ariane 6 thing working out? Oh wait, you wouldn't know. Glad to have New Shepard back in action. Is good return to flight. Yeah, Rocket, everything looked real good there. Everything looked real good. That was a good launch. Excellent. So, I figure we will keep the rocket conversation going and start talking about what's going on in the space program, because I haven't done that in a long time. Sorry, I've just something about, hey, I'm walking here has been keeping my attention for the past couple of months. Thoughts on Susie? I think it's cool, Apollo, but talk is cheap in the space program, dude. I'm sorry.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
I'm usually very optimistic about this stuff, but you know, you gotta be. It's gotta be a balance, you know. It's gotta be a balance. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy the NS-24 coverage. I do know people at Blue, so they do allow me to restream it, which is really cool, and that's very, very Chad tier behavior of them. I do appreciate it. And yeah, we'll switch over to space news here. Looking forward to Force Science in a couple hours. Does the Pope poop in the woods? No? Wait, he doesn't? But he has the hat. I'm referencing San Andreas, Pierto. Why you keep asking me that, man? Anyway. So Kerbal is going to have heat too, from what I can tell. Yep. Hooded. 30-month resub. I was watching you muted due to some IRL stuff, and man, seeing you explain things excitedly is a different experience. Faust. Nah, Arsenal, we got Force Science coming out in an hour. KSP Science Mode expansion. Well, Science Mode patch, I should say. It's not an expansion. It's because we're in early access, baby. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, exploration mode. Yeah. Science mode. I know it's exploration mode. Science mode. I've been getting back into City Skylines, but you bet I'm counting down the hours until Science. Yep. The Intercept Discord is chaos again. All right. I've been holding off on buying KSP2 till Science. Well, just like Cities, we're going to play the snot out of it. I'm going to play it till it breaks. Oh, sorry, I meant Counter-Strike 2. I was going to say, Arsenal, haven't you played City Skylines? All right. Yeah, Counter-Strike. Oh, boy. 3-2 split. All B. Push B. Glock only. What do you think about China's space plane? I don't. I don't know too much about it, Scro, to be honest with you. Been playing KSP2 the last few days. I'm still having fun with it. Yeah. It should be good. I don't think about you at all. No, it's doing something. I've seen these pictures, Vulcan. Yeah. I saw them this morning. The first couple of pictures that Ben took look really, they're like, damn, dude, lunar lander. And then you see the other one and you're like, that's tiny. Like, dude, look at this. Oh, yeah. Vulcan. So this is United Launch Alliance's Vulcan rocket with its first payload for the first launch. It's the Peregrine lander. Lunar lander. Yeah, look at the little rover on there. Yeah, baby. Look at that. So you look at it, you're like, dang, dude. I don't know why Caterpillar's logo is there. I'd assume they probably built this or something. Right? You look at it, you're like, damn, dude. That thing is mint. Right? And then you look at the other picture and you're like, that? Okay. That is a little small. It's so small. It's so small. Vulcan is it's a pretty big Vulcan is a pretty big rocket. Vulcan. Hey, so Scotland has Saxford UK spaceport in Shetland. What do you think of that? I think it's great, Briggsy. More launch sites, the better. Why could it be so small? Well, the reality of the situation is that most rockets could get payloads to the moon if the payload is small enough. Think about it like this. Really plain Jane way of thinking about it if you don't know too much about rockets. Look, it's speed. The name of the game is speed with rockets. Range on spacecraft is measured in acceleration, not distance. It's really, really important to understand that. If you went to a rocket scientist and you said this rocket has a 238,000 mile range, they would be like, what? What are you talking about? If you say this rocket can accelerate to 25,000 miles an hour, they'd be like, oh, it can get to the moon. Oh, all right, that's cool. But that entirely depends on what you're moving to the moon, right? If you have a rocket with 20 tons of payload on board, right, and it can move that into low Earth orbit, guess what? It probably can't get 20 tons to the moon, but if you have that same exact rocket with a 100-pound payload on it, well, it could probably get it to Pluto. Because you took spacecraft off of it and you took the heavy spacecraft off, you put the smaller spacecraft on, right? That's lower mass. With the same rocket, it'll get you further, right? What is this, a lander for ants? How can people learn to land on the moon good if they can't even fit inside the lander? The real one has to be at least 3 times as big. I have a vision.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey, Crazy Chief. Crazy Chief, 3-month resub. Thank you. So, yeah, even though, I mean, the lander looks pretty small, that's still a pretty sizable payload to get out to the moon, especially for a first flight. This is Vulcan's first flight. This rocket is, so these are the payload fairings. This is the aerodynamic shell at the top of the vehicle that that protects the delicate lander on the way up so aerodynamics don't destroy the thing, right? Also, acoustic vibrations as well, because it turns out that rockets are loud, so they put sound deadening inside of the fairing, right? This is just one small part of the rocket. But, yeah, it's a big boy. Vulcan is a pretty big rocket, and, you know, that's a lot of lunar payload for a rocket of this size, I will say. It's pretty big. January 8th is when this thing was supposed to go. It was supposed to go on the 24th, but ULA had some problems with a wet dress rehearsal. And the CEO of United Launch Alliance, a guy by the name of Tori Bruno, was giving us updates on Twix about what was going on. Yeah, if we go back down here a little ways. Where are ya? Okay, wet dress rehearsal update. This is from the 10th. Vehicle performed well. Ground system had a couple of routine issues being corrected. Ran the timeline long, so we didn't quite finish. I'd like a full wet dress rehearsal before our first flight, so Christmas Eve is likely out. The next peregrine window is January 8th. And then they did another wet dress rehearsal. So, because Vulcan is a new rocket, what they're doing is basically they put the thing out on the pad, they fuel it up. Just a wet dress rehearsal basically is like the final exam, right? Before you graduate, so to speak, right? They put the thing out on the pad. They do everything to get through basically to T-0. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then when, you know, you get the point of ignition where the rocket engine is supposed to turn on, they just stop everything. They hit the pause button. Wet dress rehearsal basically goes through everything simulated up to a launch except for launching the vehicle. So, if they were having problems with that, you can very much see how if it didn't do exactly what they wanted, they would be like, no, we should probably try that again. Yep. So, Space News, did you see the JPL cat video? I did. Yeah, I saw that. What is a dry dress rehearsal? Where you do everything a simulated count heart, except you don't fuel the vehicle. Yep. Wet in terms of rockets means fuel. Yep. Because fuel is wet. because it's liquid. Engineers, they're not good at dealing with customers, okay? Have you watched Smarter Everyday's talk at NASA? Yeah, Spaghetti, of course. Dude, I don't mean to be that guy, but Destin basically said what I've been saying here on this stream for like the better part of a decade. Yeah. He just said it to the people that actually matters. I just say it to random people on the internet. So sometimes I feel like I'm talking into the void. But hey, I'm a streamer. That's what I do for a living, you know? It's not a big deal. Yeah, no, he's absolutely right. Now, if we want to talk about that Smarter Everyday video, there was a lot of discourse after that video came out, you know, and I think there's a very, even now with, you know, people that are spaceflight fans, I think a lot of folks misunderstood what he said. What Destin was basically saying, okay, and this is, I suspected that this is what he was saying, but he actually confirmed it later on Twitter talking with David Willis, who's a huge rocket fanboy, especially with SLS and T-Rexes for whatever reason. Hey, dinosaurs are cool too, right? But anyway, the long story short of it is that he wasn't necessarily harping on Starship. I saw a lot of people say, oh, Destin thinks that Starship is a stupid architecture. No. That is not what he was saying. He's not saying it's a bad way to get to the moon. He's saying it's a more complicated way to get to the moon. Okay? That is a very big fundamental difference. Now, why? Why is that a fundamental difference? Yeah, it's more complicated. What do you mean? Apollo got there in one shot. What are you talking about? Apollo, one vehicle, to the moon, back, done. All right? Starship has to launch like 16 times to do the same thing? Yeah, what the heck's that about? Starship, so first of all, Starship needs to be refueled a bunch of times. Starship can move a lot more payload to the moon than the Apollo lunar lander can, like a lot more. And the other thing is that Starship lands and takes off. The Apollo LEM separates into pieces. So the idea behind that is that it's, you know, refueling, blah, 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 that it's more sustainable, right? Because you're getting your vehicles back, amongst other things, right? You get your vehicle back, right? With Apollo, you're throwing away that entire Saturn V. That's the difference between launching once and disposing the vehicle and launching 16 times and trying to reuse everything. Remember, I talked about that factor of difficulty scale here. The spaceflight's complicated. Doing all that stuff is even more complicated for us. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it'll be, you know, this complicated in the future. We tend to figure out stuff, and we figure out better ways to do it over time, like commercial airline travel, for instance, right? Compare a 737 now to a 737 from 50 years ago. Not the same plane at all. No. Very different, right? Even though it kind of looks the same, right? What Destin is saying is that because we have a more complicated architecture that's supposed to be more sustainable, we need to test it more. Because during Apollo, we had the simplest architecture that we could possibly think of. The architecture was thought up by a guy named Joseph Shea. Destin talks about him in the video. Joseph Shea was the principal kind of architect for how we are going to get to the moon and land. He pioneered a mission architecture called LOR, Lunar Orbit Rendezvous. All right? Meaning that you launch the lander and the crew in one piece out to the moon. They separate. Lander goes down to the surface. Ascent module comes back up. They rendezvous in lunar orbit and then come back, right? Differences. Okay, that's way different than Starship. Well, Starship, it doesn't throw away the descent module, and the capsule is, you know, the capsule that the Apollo program uses a one and done. You use it once, and then it's a museum piece, right? So what he's saying is because Apollo was the simplest way to do things. Look, it was the simplest way, and people still died. We still lost the Apollo 1 crew because we were stupid. Because we were trying to rush because we choose to go to the moon in this decade, right? We were trying to go fast because we were trying to beat the Soviets to the moon and basically fulfill our, the fallen President Kennedy, fulfill his, challenge of getting to the moon, right? because of, and this is during the Apollo program where we had the full power of American industry pushing towards getting to the moon. There was very open transparentness, quarterly reports about how everything is going. They were very methodical in doing this. I mean, frankly, they made it look easy, and it's not an easy thing getting to the moon. But it was the simplest architecture, and we still lost people. We still lost Ed White, Gus Grissom, and Roger Chaffee in the Apollo 1 fire from a plugs-out test in 1967. Basically turned the capsule into a pressure cooker. It's not cool. Not good. Not great, Bob. Right? Yeah, that ended about as good as you think it does. I think it did. But what he's saying is, look, that was the simplest way to get to the moon, and we still hit some pretty significant bumps in the road. Our architecture nowadays is way more complicated for getting to the moon. While being more sustainable, it is way more complicated. We're going to need to be able to speak up if we see something wrong. Because the one time we didn't speak up during Apollo, people got hurt. Right? We're going back to the moon. That's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. Apollo made it look easy, and that was with a blank check from Uncle Sam. Right? We don't necessarily have that this time around. We have not as much money as before. Now, albeit that's for other reasons, but we have not as much money going into this program as before. And our mission architecture is way more complicated. The transparency and being able to bring up things is super important, even if it goes against the political tides. That's what he's saying. That's important to understand. The reason why we have the architecture that we do is because of divisiveness in Congress, particularly between the executive branch and the legislative branch. Okay? That is the reason. No one wants to talk about this. But if we're going to get to the moon without breaking any eggs, all right? You know, people say you want to make an omelet, you got to break some eggs. No. Not that rule does not apply to space flight. Breaking eggs in space flight is very bad. Don't want that. Bad idea. In order for us to get back to the moon and truly do it sustainably, we need to be able to put aside political divisiveness so people don't get killed. That's what he's saying. That's very important to understand, right? It's a very important thing because, look, every time in the space program, every time in it, you know what? It's not even us. It's not even just the American space program. Soviet space program was the same way. Soviet program was even worse in terms of speaking up. You know what happens if you spoke up, you know, dissenting opinion in the Soviet Union doesn't really go together very well, right? If you're not able to do that, people are going to get hurt. And we can't do that. We cannot do that. We have to succeed. There's no reload button. There's no undo button with spaceflight. What happens, happens. Every single time, we've not allowed that dissenting opinion to happen. And now this is dissenting opinion between the engineers and the architects. I'm not saying that you and I get a say in the space program, right? This is the people that discuss the policy and the people that are there engineering the architecture. Those people need to be able to disagree, right? They need to be able to disagree in order to bring more transparency and more safety to our space program, all right? Every single time we have some divisiveness in the space program, someone gets hurt. Apollo 1, Challenger, Columbia. There you go. With Challenger, they knew that there was a potential failure mode in the SRB O-rings. And the guy that said, "Hey, don't launch this, it's going to blow up," was told to shut up. Yeah, that ended well. Oops. See what I mean? That's what he's talking about. That's very important. Does that make sense? It's a really, really, really important thing to understand. You have to be able to say, wait a minute. Look, I understand why we're doing this architecture. Maybe there might be a simpler way to do this, right? Or, you know, not necessarily there might be a simpler way to do this, but maybe we should do additional tests here on the ground. Maybe we should be more transparent about what's going on between space agencies here. Between engineers, between scientists, between the mission architect. There needs to be more transparency throughout the entire thing because we haven't seen that this time around with the Artemis program. Harvard made a great business case based on that Challenger decision to launch.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Look, man, it takes a good engineer to say, hey, that didn't work after it fails. A great engineer can say, hey, don't launch this, it's going to explode. It's really difficult in aerospace to be able to predict the future. We're not psychics, right? But you can use math to know, hey, this thing is going to fail right at this point. In fact, that's how rocket testing is done today, guys. Now, everybody thinks it's like Kerbal, right? You put the rocket on the pad. Oh, it blew up. Huh. Let's go figure out why it exploded. No. SpaceX does do that, but you don't just send it willy-nilly, right? Even SpaceX, with their more iterative design approach, is still quantifying numbers, right? There's still like, okay, we want to get it to this point, and if it fails after that, okay, well, all right, cool. There's still milestones in the development, all right? So, like, let's take IFT-2 with Starship. The big milestone was hot staging. They needed to be able to demonstrate that Starship could yeet itself off of Super Heavy while Super Heavy's engines are still firing. That doesn't seem like that's going to be that complicated of an issue, but it turns out when rocket engines have a rocket engine pushing down on the top of the stage and rocket engine at the bottom pushing the stage up, fuel does that. That's why Super Heavy popped. Didn't feed the fuel correctly. Liquid fuel rocket engines, especially ones like Raptor that are really, really, really designed to be pushed to the ragged edge, if they don't get liquid methane and liquid oxygen into the liquid fueled engine and you ingest something else into the rocket engine, well, it usually ends in an explosion. So the Soviet Union. Yeah, Hart, if you want to talk about the Soviet Union, I talked about lack of dissenting opinion in the Soviet Union. That's what got Vladimir Kemerov killed. Yuri Gagarin was the first cosmonaut in space, April 12th, 1961. He made it back in one piece, but just because you made it back in one piece once doesn't mean that the next one is going to go very well, right? Vladimir Kemerov was one of the original cosmonauts with Yuri and with a bunch of, there's other ones. Alexei Leonov, for instance, right? These were the spaceflight pioneers. They're the Mercury 7 of the Soviet space program. Kemerov volunteered himself to go into a capsule he knew was going to kill him. And he did it because he didn't want Yuri Gagarin, the first person into space, dying. He was too valuable. So he volunteered, even though he knew the capsule was going to kill him. He knew it wasn't safe. He still volunteered to go, and any dissenting opinion, go, here, have fun chopping wood for the next 30 years in Siberia, right? Because the Soviet space program was a military space program. If you didn't follow orders, get out, right? He knew it was going to kill him, so he sacrificed himself. His only wish, and this is some metal stuff. His only wish, open casket. Because he knew it was going to kill him. Because of lack of dissenting opinion. Now, don't get me wrong. You shouldn't be contrarian in the space program, all right? Just because there's 9 different ways to skin a cat, right? There's a bajillion different ways, right? Meaning that there's multiple ways to land on the moon, right? But you go with one, and dissenting opinion doesn't mean that, oh, this architecture is stupid, we shouldn't do this. No. You're not. That's not how you should run a space program. Dissenting opinion is, okay, during this phase of the mission, I think there might be a point where we can't abort. What are we doing about that? Right? See the difference there? Dissenting opinion is basically a checks and balance in the ethics of your engineering, the ethics of your system engineering for your space program to make sure people don't die. Because it's very easy to get tunnel vision in the space program. It's very easy to be like, okay, we're doing this, we're focusing on this, frick everything else. All right, oh, wait, I killed somebody? Oh, the vehicle exploded? Whoops. That's very easy. It's very easy to get tunnel vision like that. You really, really, really can't do stuff like that. You have to take a step back and look at your work and check your work. The due diligence matters, and that's what made the Apollo program so damn good. But even the Apollo program, with all that due diligence, they made putting people on the moon look easy. We still paid for it in blood. Remember that. That's what that whole smarter everyday thing is about. I have a good visual indicator of the size difference. Yep. Yeah. That's not exactly to scale, but it is close, Apollo, huh? Salty, does that cover it sufficiently? Does that make more sense? Oh, yeah. Got some good... You guys are linking up some real good links. Nice, nice. So New Glenn is no Glenn today. What? Who said anything about New Glenn? New Shepard launched this morning. It returned to flight, the NS-24 mission. It was successful. It looked great. They did a good job. Okay, so... Yep. Here we go. Okay. Artemis 2 news, if you guys want to see this. Solid rocket boosters for the Artemis 2 mission are in the RPRSF. The Rotating Processing Solid Rocket Booster Facility. This is where they have cranes take the loaded SRBs. You can tell it's loaded because of the way it is. And turn them vertically for stacking, which means the Artemis 2 stack is starting to get made, which is pretty cool. Also, yeah, SRBs are extremely heavy. If anybody here is in the hoisting business, look at the size of that pendant. They're heavy. Look at how thick that frickin' steel is. It's thick, boy. You want it thick. Solid rocket boosters. Are you a man or a mountain? Solid rocket boosters. Now, seriously, that you couldn't lift that pendant up off the ground. You'd need a crane to lift the crane hoisting equipment. Solid rocket boosters are very heavy. And it is loaded. You can tell because of the way it is. Bro, do you even lift? What do you think? 6 to 8 inches thick? No, not that thick. So the SRBs are 3.7 meter. So about 12 feet in diameter. That's probably like, I don't know, 2 to 3 inches. So that's, let's see, what would be the metric? So a half inch is 12.7, so 13 is 26 mil. Yeah, it's like 30 or 40 millimeter, maybe 50 mil. Actually, it's probably more than that. It's probably closer to like 70 millimeter. It's thick, very thick. Yeah, those are very heavy SRBs. Hey, KSP TV, what's going on? We're looking at rockets in anticipation. We also have Firefly. Firefly's launching tomorrow, and NSF is doing the coverage for it. I'm not going to be in on this one, but yeah, we get to see Firefly, which I'll show you guys that in a second. Oh boy. Oh baby. That is a nice boy. Is KSP TV the official KSP channel? Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. That's big. That's very nice. Now here, check this out. So Firefly is another commercial spaceflight venture, and what Firefly is basically trying to do is become an off-the-shelf parts supplier. They're basically trying to be the McMaster car for rocket engines. They already have rocket engines that will be flying on other vehicles soon, but what they're trying to do... Hey, Montblanc, 25 months. Thanks, man. Oh, okay, Thomas. I'll check that in a second. Is it called Firefly because the butt glows? No. But anyway, that's the that's their Alpha rocket with 4 Reaver engines in the first stage. This mission is called Fly the Lightning. You guys need to see the patch for this thing. Bow. Anyway. Banana. Banana. Yeah, they are very much geeks, Vega. Yep. Oh, yeah. Most people in the spaceflight industry are. You have the official KSP channel here with us. Oh, yeah? Yeah. I know. You must have missed the part where I said, hey, KSP TV, how you doing? I'm the guy who does his job. You must be the other guy. I know, homie. Yeah. No, it's cool. I saw them wave. Anyway, that's happening tomorrow. Oh, sorry, I'm working here just like you. So you do your job? What do you smoke, huh? What do you don't smoke? What do you on those fitness freaks, huh? Go frick yourself. What? Sorry, that was my native tongue. It came out there for a second. Do they launch out of Vandenberg? Yes, Nanimu, they do. Firefly uses Space Launch Complex 2. Slick 2 out at Vandenberg. It's the X Delta 2 launch pad. Oh, I'll do what I want. Building prompts for an LLM. Oh, okay. Excuse me. One science. Oh, boy. Delta 2, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that Ride the Lightning is probably the best mission patch I've ever seen. Ever. But yeah, we're counting down the minutes here till the 4 science update. Should be pretty good. Pretty good. Yep. Yeah, T-Man, they're great pictures. Great pictures. L39 is still a good one. Nothing is beyond our reach. That one's up there. Fly the Lightning is amazing. That's really good. Okay. Let's see. Anything else going on with SPAC flight? Actually, SpaceX should be lifting up Booster 10 here to be put on the pad. I would have to say if the next Starship flight is probably happening. It's definitely next year. It's not going to be this year, but it is going to happen a lot quicker than you might think. Let's see. Let's go over there and take a peek real quick. They haven't lifted the booster onto the pad just yet. Starbase Live, here we go. Yeah, the chopsticks are in place to lift it, but they haven't done any lifting operations yet. You mean they won't fly in the next 12 days? Got it. Yeah, but they might fly in the next, 40. Which is pretty sweet. Let's see. Sorry, I need to shoot out a message there real quick. So let's see. What do we got? So this is over at Starbase Live. That's run by our buddies over at NASA Spaceflight. That's the big boy. I'd say, you know, we're probably going to get this flight sometime in January or February. It's still kind of hard to say. Yeah, 28, this thing right here is on the suborbital pad B. They actually demolished A. Very interesting. The first test launch pad that they built down there, they got rid of it. That's where, I mean, it wasn't on the launch mount hardware, but that's where, amongst other things, that's where Starship, or Starhopper took its first hop. They actually demolished that pad, which is strange. But the other thing is, we did see, looks like they have some issues with the transport stand or something. They've been checking the section where it connects to B10 several times already. Yep. Let's see. Is that a Christmas tree I see in the background? Yeah, here, let me show you real quick. I also wanted to point out what we saw getting shipped from the Cape here. So check this out. So the parts of the launch tower for an actual Starship pad and fuel tanks, I mean, that's pad GSE for the most part. I say fuel tanks, they're not fuel tanks from the rocket, right? This is where they store the fuel. Fuel is stored sometimes in the cylinder, but sometimes in the balls too. They started moving out parts from the Cape. So you can tell that's 39B in the background over there. That's where SLS launches from. This is down at the Cape. This is Space Coast Live, NASA Spaceflight's other live camera. They started moving parts to Boca Chica, interestingly enough. The tanks are for the Massey's test site. Yeah, ground servicing equipment, for sure. So, they demolished suborbital pad A, and they're moving actual launch pad parts down there. So, I mean, I have seen plans, you know, it's public stuff for, you know, what SpaceX wants to do down in Boca Chica, but I think that's a pretty reasonable guess to say that they're going to be building another Starship pad down there sooner rather than later. That's just an elongated ball. Yep. Based on mass alone, it looks like Starship could build the ISS in 3 launches instead of 42. Are there other factors that would prevent that? I'm thinking volume might be an issue. Yes, Inglonius, volume. Yeah, sure. The ISS is designed around the shuttle's payload bay. If we wanted to build a station of equal volume with Starship, we could do that as well. However, I mean, Starship could basically fit Skylab inside of its payload bay. So, can you imagine? Like, okay, here we're gonna go on what EJ wants to see from Starship in the future, and not necessarily what would happen, right? Can you imagine Starship with payload bay doors like the space shuttle, moving 6.6 meter modules inside of its payload bay? Because remember, Starship's 9 meter wide, right? Starship could move Skylab modules in its payload bay. Can you imagine building an ISS based around a 6.6 meter diameter instead of what's the space shuttle? The space shuttle's payload bay diameter is 5 meter. So we have 6 meter modules instead of 5 meter. Actually, with Starship, theoretically, you could put it out to an 8 meter module, right? And have payload integration very similar to the space shuttle, right? So think about Starship, payload bay doors like the shuttle, and a robotic arm. Imagine what that could build. Honestly, if you have that kind of capability, you run into a problem, ironically, that the shuttle had. The payloads aren't going to be ready fast enough to warrant a day-to-day launch cadence. So, it would be cool to see Starship build another ISS or something like that, like the space shuttle did. We could build something way bigger. But also, I think it's important to understand that we might not need that. Starship, which is designed, you know, not necessarily just yet, but it's designed to be able to loiter on orbit for long periods of time. Why is that? Well, if the thing's designed to get to Mars, it needs to be able to sit out there in deep space for extremely long periods of time. So, heck, man, just launch Starship and make it the space station. What about a wet workshop Starship? What about just, you know, I mean, you could have a Starship that could be a space station that could stay up there for a couple of months and then just come back down and land. You know, no need to dock to anything, just go up there, like what they ended up doing with the space shuttle, because they couldn't make the space station modules quick enough, right? Because the space station modules take a long time to make, right? So just send Starship up there and make it the space station. Maybe send it up there uncrewed and have a Dragon dock to the dang thing. And just have that be your space station and then have it come back down, right? Could do that. Are we keeping the ISS or letting it fail? It's stretched out to 2030 right now, Apollo. What happens after that, I don't know. Imagine a day where it's cheaper to put something into low Earth orbit than sticking it in the vacuum chamber for a while. Yeah, that'd be nice. With the modules being the diameter of Starship, could it still carry the mass that the module, that if the module was fully outfitted with machinery? Yeah, of course. Guys, we have ways of getting heavy payloads up into space. Falcon Heavy can do... Oh, what can Falcon Heavy do? I mean, it's like 50 tons or something to low Earth orbit. The problem is, you'd be hard-pressed to find 50 tons of anything that fit in a standard Falcon 9 payload fairing. A rocket like Falcon Heavy wasn't really designed to move bigger payloads into space. It was designed to move similar-sized payloads further into space. That make sense? $63 tons, 63.8 metric tons, Inglonious. All right, so are you, dude? You'd be hard pressed filling up Falcon Heavy's payload fairing with lead. Like, that's the only thing I can really think of. Like, I've done the math on this. If you fill up Falcon Heavy's payload fairing about halfway with lead, it could still get it into space. But you're not going to need to launch something that high mass into space. Nothing that high mass that's useful other than maybe raw materials, which launching raw materials into space is, at this point in time in 2023, is a very far-fetched idea. There's nothing that's useful to us that's 63 metric tons that can fit inside of a fairing that can encompass a school bus. What I'm trying to say is that even if you made a space station module and put it inside of Falcon Heavy's fairing, there's no way it would weigh 63 tons. Not even close. That's over 100,000 pounds. 63.8 thousand, or 63,800 kilograms. That's not even close. That's easily over 100,000 pounds. There's nothing you can fit in there would end up being that much mass. That's Falcon Heavy's problem. And that's kind of the problem that we have right now. Even Starship, dude, you could fill up Starship with lead as well. Fill the entire payload bay with lead. It'll get it into space. But now you just have a big chunk of lead in space. I think that Starship, though, is designed for that on purpose. Because think about it. We know that Raptor engines are basically like on the ragged edge, stretched to the absolute limit of what a rocket engine with a full flow stage combustion cycle can do. We're on the ragged edge, right? What are we going to put inside a Starship that's 100 tons? Not much, but that's the point. That's the idea. The idea is that you engineer it to be able to move 100, 150 metric tons into space. You could put anything you want in there. You're never going to get near you're never going to get near its payload capacity. You're never your mom jokes. Oh, from 95, didn't see that one coming. You're never going to fit anything in there that's even close to getting near the maximum payload capacity. But once again, that's the point. The idea is that Starship is designed for 150 metric tons into low Earth orbit. You're never moving 150 tons. Like, there's no useful payload that's 150 tons that could fit in there that's been invented yet. Maybe they're designing for the future. I don't know. Right? But that means you can put whatever you want inside of that, and it'll be able to get it up there and bring it back down. That alone is insane capability. I mean, when the thing works, you know. It means they could stretch it later. You always over-engineer it, but that means that those Raptor engines, their duty cycle per launch is not as crazy. The engine's designed 100%, like to perform at 100% of its rated thrust way up here, and that's the point where stuff starts to break if you go past 100% of rated thrust, right? If Starship on average is moving 40, 50 tons into space, like Starlink satellites or something, or even a space station module, the majority of the space station module is empty space. Because, you know, we need to move around inside of it. That's kind of important, right? If you're bringing up a space station module like that, that means your engine's duty cycle never goes like above 40%. So the engines last longer. That favors reusability. Rocket Lab is doing the same thing with Neutron. Rocket Lab is another private spaceflight company that's headed by a guy named Peter Beck. Their new rocket, Neutron, is designed with engines where you're never going to need 100% of thrust that's on tap, so to speak. Ever. You're never going to need that. Ever. But the idea is that because you're never going to need that, you're not redlining your rocket engine every launch. So that favors reuse. The rocket engine will last longer. SpaceX is partnering to build with who? SpaceX is partnering to build a new telescope much cheaper. It can be 10 times the size of the mirror's James Webb and not need to unfold. So much cheaper. Theoretically, so much cheaper. Homing. Possibly, yes. And not only that, dude, it could bring the telescope back down. So say you want to bring it up, say you want to upgrade it. You don't even need to do the whole shuttle servicing mission, right? I think that the telescope, they should just put it inside of Starship's payload bay and have Starship be the entire damn telescope. Oh, our telescope has a crack in the mirror. Close the doors up, bring it back down. Oh, it came down and landed. Now we can fix it. All right, send it back up. Theoretically, dude, yeah. Starship needs to overcome the stigma from the space shuttle program, believe it or not. I still think there's a stigma towards rapidly reusable launch vehicles, and it's because of the mismanagement from the shuttle program. Basically, there's a lot of skeptics. That's what I'm trying to say. Buenos tardes, Kaku. ¿Cómo estás, amigo? Quiero jugar Kerbal. Kerbal 2. Yeah, who's that render by, Thomas? That's by, yeah, Dylan Semrau. Yeah, here. That's what I'm talking about, dude. See that? Now we're talking. That's what needs to be done right there. Or you could deploy the dang thing, right? You could deploy it, and then now you can just do Hubble servicing missions, right? Heck, you don't even need to send the Starship up there for a servicing mission. Just send Dragon. In fact, I'm pretty sure there's a guy working on capsule-based satellite servicing missions. He also likes to fly around a MiG-29 in his spare time. Pretty sure there's a guy working on that. The shuttle program wasn't mismanaged. There was no managing at all. Yeah, well, the front of the management team fell off. Well, the front fell off. So we could use Starship to bring the ISS back to Earth. Gestal, as a spaceflight fan, I would love nothing better. I think that there is some vital science that can be done on long-term spaceflight habitats by sending Starship up there and bringing parts of the ISS down. It doesn't need to bring the whole thing down, just parts. One or two modules would be great. But the spaceflight fan in me is like, no, bring the whole thing down. Bring it. I want the whole thing hanging in a freaking museum next to the space shuttle that built it, you know? And then from there, actually, you know what? Screw the whole museum part. Bring it back down here, put it back together in a NASA test facility so we can do testing on the thing. But the museum thing, I guess now my like, you know, dream scenario would be for the Smithsonian to build a hangar next to the hangar where Discovery is in Washington D.C. or in Virginia at Dulles Airport. Build a hangar and have 2 arches in the hangar, and literally hang, or not literally, actually hang the ISS from the ceiling and have it just sitting there. Hang the whole dang thing. Every single module is designed to be picked up because of what's called a longeron pin. If we look at close-up pictures of any or any ISS module that was brought up there, hey, Concrete Monkey, 47 months. They all have these pins, and the pins were designed to be able to. They were basically where they were stored inside of the the shuttle's payload bay. Here, I'll show you this GIF of the. This is the International Airlock Quest. Right here, that's the airlock piece. See the pin right there? That's the pin where it was held inside of the shuttle's payload bay. That is a load point where they picked it up with a crane to put it inside of the shuttle's payload bay. So these modules can be hung from a crane. They were designed for that because that's how they got them inside of the shuttle's payload bay in the first place, right? If we how cool would it be to have a model of the ISS, right? Not a model, have the actual ISS hanging inside of a hangar with all the modules hanging from their longeron pins. And you walk into a room and the thing's just hanging there. It's the size of a soccer field, man. It's huge. How about that with the space shuttle next to it? The space shuttle that built it. Or one of them. Right? That's my dream scenario. You know, and if Starship becomes rapidly reusable, we'd be stupid. You know, and this is what I mean when I was talking to Homing Pigeon about theoretical, right? You know, Starship still hasn't proven itself. It has to get over the rapid reuse stigma that the shuttle program left, right? And if it does, then that would be a thing, dude. That would be the coolest thing ever. If it does, and Starship, by the end of this decade, when the ISS is set to retire, right? How cool would it be to have that? That would be amazing. And Hubble off to one side. Problem, Russia? Okay, put mock-ups of those modules on the back and give them back to Russia. The thing is, though, Caveman, we own the Zarya module. We own the power and propulsion module. The U.S. bought Zarya in the 90s after the Soviet Union collapsed and paid Russia to launch a payload that they bought from Russia into space. We own it. They operate it. For a museum, you don't need the operations part. I'm not so sure about Zvezda. Zvezda is the service module for the ISS, service and propulsion. I said that Zarya is the batteries. That's the power module for the ISS. Why put it in an Earth museum? Make a museum on the moon and put it there. Oh, well, Lord, I'd say that putting it out in a museum on the moon might be a little bit more difficult. We have... Okay, to put this very candidly, we have a little bit more experience building museums here than we have building museums there. And I will say that I agree with you. Maybe we should have more experience building museums there. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You picking up what I'm laying down? You know what I'm saying? Am I right or am I right? The ISS, though, it's a low Earth orbit research facility. So... if we're going to put it in a museum, I would like to think that it should be on Earth. But I do like where you're going with that, An on-orbit museum? That means you'd still need to operate the thing. That might get a little complicated. Or just leave it there and build an in-orbit museum around the ISS. I like the enthusiasm, dudes. All right. Yeah, we're less than 10 minutes out here till we get Force Science. Sorry, I was just looking at this. We were talking about starships. You guys see Super Heavy's new transport stand? Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Discovery, go at
Hey,
throttle.
Jazzos, for science! Interesting capability, Hellfish, yeah. I think that's awesome. Frosty, Rudolph, Santa, and the Christmas tree. Now we're talking. That's pretty cool, man. Automated hold down points. No need to unbolt the thing manually. Phil, this just looks like a stripped down version of an OLM that they were just like, yeah, use this. just make a smaller version of the OLM without the fueling umbilicals and just use that. 5 minutes. Hey, Audrey. Sorry if you already covered this, but you know what caused the Blue Origin scrub? First cold temperatures and then some ground service equipment, Audrey. But it launched 2 hours ago. Yeah, that thing's already been to space and back. Yeah, that's just Phil. That's just an OLM without any of the fueling equipment. It's just the integration points. Phil, here's what I'm saying, man. Here's what I'm saying. Take this. Take this. See that? Give me 1 second. Take that and weld it onto the top of that. No, that's cool, homie. Neat. Why don't we just take the OLM, the transporter OLM, not the actual OLM, and just put it on there? Crawler Transport can move 2 or 3 of those all at once. You don't need to launch it off the mobile launcher. You just need to use the mobile launcher as a transport deck. And, you know, from Destin's video, it could take up to 16 launches. You might need 2 or 3 of those starships on tap for something like that. It would pay to move all of them at once, don't you think? Yes, fully. Yes, Elfish. SpaceX leases MLP-1 in the crawler. If you could point me to the contract that says that, Nova, then I'll believe you. What if it was a test article for that idea? Just saying. Literally Apollo's trade study in full action. Earth orbit rendezvous versus lunar orbit rendezvous. Yep. Oh, you were just thinking out loud. Okay. I was going to say, man, no, not yet. We haven't seen anything, but maybe. The machines they build to put these things together are amazing. I've never seen anything like that crawler before. The crawler transporter is a combination of 2 diesel... It's basically if you took a diesel-electric locomotive, like a freight train engine, and you combined it with some mining equipment. The crawler transport has 2 Alco 261C V16 not twin turbo, supercharged diesel engines producing power, and it's attached to 4 trucks that are basically, it's basically the kind of trucks and bogies that you'd see on heavy mining equipment, like gigantic steam shovels. Yeah, it's a hybrid. That's what I'm trying to tell you. How fast does it go? 2 miles an hour if it's not carrying anything. How fast does it go with an entire launch pad and rocket on top of it? About a half mile an hour. What's the fuel economy? If you have to ask, you can't afford it. Is there anything that has higher fuel usage per mile? I'm sure there's something out there, Binol. But consider this. Consider this. You fill this thing up with diesel fuel, right? Just diesel fuel. I mean, albeit a little bit more. It's two heavy-duty locomotives at its heart, right? You fill this thing up with diesel fuel, it can move 18 million pounds, 3.5 miles. 18 million pounds. There is nothing else in the world that can do that for a tank of diesel. Maybe except for a container ship. But container ships don't run off diesel. They use bunker C, which is diesel fuel's molassesy cousin. Okay. But, yeah, that's what I think Super Heavy should do. I think they're going to do that for Cape operations. Just use the crawler. I don't think they're going to make a mobile launcher. But use the crawler and the mobile launcher platform to move multiple Super Heavies around and multiple starships to and from the launch pads. I think it's a good idea. Am I doing KSP today? No. I was going to play Counter-Strike. That's why I wore my NASA hat and my, SLS shirt. Because I want to play Counter-Strike.
Discovery.
Yeah, Counter-Strike, let's go. I'm not doing that. We're loading up KSP. The trailer is out. Okay. Give me one moment. The gameplay trailer's out, huh? Oh, yeah. All right. I'm pretty sure we're good to go. I'm just waiting to get the okay. When was the last time this NASA hat got washed? I don't know. When's the last time you took a shower? Freaking roasted. You smell, Tessa. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. Let's switch us over.